For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. Why conservatives should not gloat over the fall of leftist media icons. That's today's theme on the Savage Nation. Welcome to the program. Small-minded conservatives are celebrating the downfall of Matt Lauer and Garrison Keillor. Now, they're not any friends of mine. I mean, they never had me on their show. I don't know them. But I warn you, what goes around comes around. No man is an island. No man is an island. Each is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. As well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thine own or of thine friends were. Each man's death diminishes me. For I am involved in mankind, therefore send not to know for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And so, though it tolls today for Matt Lauer and Garrison Keillor, and last week Charlie Rose and Glenn Thrush, Mark Halperin, even the liberal moron David Korn of Mother Jones, someone whose names I don't know, Michael Oriskis of NPR, Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone, Louis C.K., a dirtbag of the lowest order, Harvey Weinstein. We're all absorbing this. But don't gloat over it. Don't gloat over it, because you could be tomorrow. Tomorrow you could be next. Now, your first instinct should always be to follow the money. Why is this happening is the question. As you absorb the Matt Lauer and Garrison Keillor news, over simple allegations, by the way, some girl comes forward last night about something that happened in 2014 with her lawyer, and NBC fires him overnight. Okay? Follow the money. In nearly every contract with these big-name celebrities and the entities that they answer to, there is a moral turpitude clause, or as is known in the industry, the Pee Wee Herman clause. We heard about that in radio years ago. It's called the Pee Wee Herman clause. Pee Wee Herman famously got caught doing things in a pornographic movie house and lost his living entertaining children under the name Pee Wee Herman. But everyone in the media signs a contract that has a moral turpitude clause that reads something like this. The actor shall not commit any act or do anything which might tend to bring actor into public disrepute, contempt, scandal, or ridicule, or which might tend to reflect unfavorably on the network, any sponsor of a program, any such sponsor's advertising agency, any station's broadcasting or scheduled to broadcast a program, or any licensee of the network, or to injure the success of any use of the series or any program. Employer will have the right to terminate this agreement upon written notice to celebrity of the public disclosure of such conduct or alleged conduct. In the event of such termination of this agreement, employer will have the right to nullify the terms of the agreement and refuse any further compensation, close quote. So old Savage is thinking they want to get rid of some of these dinosaurs who are earning $20 million and more. So they hit them with a moral turpitude clause. They don't have to pay them out. Did you follow me? If you follow the money, you could reasonably conclude that these institutions may be employing outsiders to bring these charges, to cause these charges to bubble up from within to help dump the incredibly large salaried celebrities. Lauer was reportedly making $20 mil a year. Poor old Charlie was only making $2.5 million a year. But still, it's money. I mean, $2.5 million is still money. Those that can benefit financially may be trying to do just that and nothing more. And by the way, I understand that the parent holding company's stock went up when they fired Lauer. Did you know that? This morning when it was announced, the stock went up. Why would that happen? Well, but regardless of the reason, should conservatives be celebrating every time another one of these left-wing icons falls? The answer is no, my friends. Don't they see that it could be them next? It could be anyone right now. There is a witch hunt going on right now that has no boundaries. It is happening in the media, in Hollywood, in the halls of Washington, D.C., in academia. And all a girl has to do is scream, Jacques Hughes! Jacques Hughes. I said this to you earlier this month. The trials are being conducted on little screens, on your smartphones, on social media. Too many are being tried and convicted without anyone asking, is there any evidence beyond Jacques Hughes? There is a type of civil war going on here, and the casualties are stacking up. And the rules of this war favor one side, and the fallout isn't pretty. You may ask for whom the bell tolls. Well, it tolls for thee. Let's play the Metallica piece as I catch my breath, and you catch the phones. 855-400. Savage! 855-400-7282. For whom the bell tolls. How about a joke? Just came to me minutes ago. Go from serious to joke. A wild-eyed, crazy old woman walks into a crowded bar in downtown Washington, D.C., waving a pistol and yells out, "I have a .45 caliber Colt 1911 with a 7-round magazine, plus one in the chamber. I want to know who's been sleeping with my husband." A female voice from the back of the room calls out, "You need more ammo, Hillary." Play the music, my friends. I mean, look, what can you do? It's funny in its own way. Thank you for that joke. Now, there's another story I want to talk about. I saw an article on Breitbart. The president of the EU says that without millions of African migrants, Europe will be lost. And they must have millions of Africans brought in because they're not making children in Europe. Is he right or wrong? You know, no one's ever dared talk about this on the conservative side. But if you ask yourself about the question from a long-term point of view, tell me who's making children here in the United States. With the rampant sexuality that's so readily available, with the emphasis upon same-sex marriage, children are not being replaced in this country. You know what the replacement rate has to be for a normal couple of two? I said normal. Gee, I'm sorry for saying normal. Yeah, a man and a woman. A man and a woman need to have 3 children, something along those on an average, to replace themselves. That's just to keep up with the population. Do you know what the replacement rate is in Europe right now? In countries where there's sexual liberation of the... Let's say you go down the chart of sexual liberated nations in Europe. The more liberated they are, meaning the more degenerate they are, the more there are orgies, the more there is same-sex marriage, the more there's no emphasis upon church and upon family. It is like 0.3. So you look ahead 30, 40, 50 years from the point of view that this EU president is saying, maybe he's wrong, maybe he's right. Is that a fear-mongering? Where are the children going to come from? He says the continent will clearly need immigration in the coming decades. EU nations have to provide Africans who want to come and are able to come and whose situation makes it possible for them to come with legal paths to get to Europe. Wow. Who is this guy, Juncker? Juncker in Germany. There was a Juncker bomber during World War II. I wonder if he's from the famed Juncker family. He's now verbal bombing the continent. And where does it all lead? Why, it leads to you-know-who, for whom the bell tolls. I mean, if you're celebrating the downfall of Matt Lauer and Garrison Keillor, you're telling me you don't see that what I said last week is more valid today than it was last week? I said that it's all leading in one direction, which is to the president. They're going to rehash the women who accused them then during the campaign, and then they're going to say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If we could take down, well, I can't remember all the names, whatever his name is, Matt Lauer or whatever, last week the other one, the guy only made 2.5. What's his name? Charlie. I know Charlie was making a 2.5. You think a guy like him with such an ego, he needed more money than that? Just to stay in shoes. Charlie Rose, 2.5. Okay, but let's say Charlie is gone. They said, well, we took down Charlie, we took down Matt, we took down Garrison. These are all liberal icons. Glenn Thrush, no one ever heard of him. Mark Halperin, no one ever heard of him. David Korn, some crank from the Nation magazine. Jan Wenner, famous AC/DC and foot power guy from Rolling Stone. So they've all gone. They've all gone. So I say, well, look, if we could take down all these people on the left, this is not partisan. We're going just down the line. So we want them gone. And what are you going to say then? It's not fair. You're celebrating it today. Aren't you celebrating the downfall of Matt Lauer? I'm not, because I'm telling you where this is going. Whatever. I made my point. I'm not going to beat it up. I'll beat it up over and over again. Went from the high to the low, read the names. Just thinking about Matt Lauer. They said he left New York to go to his son's school to tell his 16-year-old son, Jack, about it. I can't imagine what that conversation would be like. The son already knew about it before the father's going to... He said he didn't want the son to read about it in the papers. Matt, there are new forms of communication that are not the papers, like he knew about it the second you were thrown out on your toupee. What do you mean you're going to tell him? You left the city, that's all. The reason you left is you didn't want to confront the reporters outside, the swarm. Welcome back to the Savage Nation. We had a technical glitch. I gave you the most brilliant monologue you're going to hear for the next week on this subject, which is very clear, and it'll be up on michaelsavage.com shortly if it's not there, which is why conservatives should not gloat over the fall of leftist media icons such as Matt Lauer, because tomorrow it could be them. But that's talking way over the head of the average person. They're celebrating today. It's a two-dimensional medium, and there's no way to go beyond the two dimensions. Now, yesterday it was North Korea. We'll take care of this. The next day I wake up, all of a sudden something else. Yesterday, North Korea was imminently threatening the United States, shot a missile over Japan. The president gave a crazy press conference. No one could follow it. No one heard a word. He didn't know what he's talking about. We need to raise money for the military. It'll be a beautiful military. General, would you like to say something? And no one know. I didn't know what was good. The next day I wake up, it's Matt Lauer now. And Garrison Keillor, so I did For Whom the Bell Tolls. Then I got cut off by some glitch. As I was telling you that it said, according to page 6, Matt Lauer leaves New York City to explain firing to oldest son. That's not why he left. He had to go there to tell him in person. What, because the newspaper didn't arrive yet on the campus, Matt? I'm sorry to tell you, there are new ways that young people communicate. Even older people use new methods of communication. It's called email, actually. That works. I'll bet the son could get an email up there, too. I'll bet the son even has a device called an iPhone on which he got it, the news. You don't really have to go there to explain what happened and why you were fired. You went there to avoid the press. That's all. What do you mean you went there? You're using your son as a shield. Be a man about it, Matt. I mean, come on. You're finished. You're just like another schmuck in the streets of Manhattan now. Everyone's going to laugh at you like in Todd Browning's Freaks. There's Matt Lauer. Like yesterday, it was like, oh, there's Matt Lauer when he comes in the restaurant. God just walked in. Matt Lauer? Yes, Mr. Lauer. Yes, Mr. Lauer, your flowers are ready, Mr. Lauer. Yes, Mr. Lauer, we've brushed your seat off of crumbs. Yes, Mr. Lauer. Now it's like, there's Matt Lauer. Oh, hi, Mr. Lauer. I'm sorry that table that you used. I'm sorry that table's occupied, Mr. Lauer. We have another one for you, though, over in Siberia. There's Matt Lauer. I wonder what they do after a thing like this. I don't know. Where do you go after this? He's a younger guy. He's got young kids. He's got probably plenty of money salted away. All right. Matt Lauer is being edited out of tree lighting coverage. NBC boss tells staffers Lauer expressed remorse when fired. Kathy Lee Gifford, I don't know who that is, wants forgiveness and mercy for Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer. Say it over and over again. See how long. If you say the words Matt Lauer repeatedly for a few seconds, you'll see how insignificant he actually is. Say it, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer, Matt Lauer. He's just another man. Just another clod of humanity marching around. Yesterday a god, today a clod of humanity. I'm not celebrating. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. These are the people who are the gatekeepers of the media. They thought they were God Almighty. Meanwhile, Lauer's former model wife, Annette, has remained silent. She briefly filed for divorce in 2006, claiming she suffered, quote, cruel and inhumane treatment from Matt, who she said in legal documents was controlling and demonstrated, quote, extreme anger and hostility, unquote. She withdrew the divorce filing a month later. She lives full-time in the Hamptons with the children and Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer lives in Manhattan, but not now. He's on the way up to tell his son what happened because apparently the son doesn't have an iPhone and he doesn't read on the internet. Anyway, it is what it is. That's the world we're living in. That's why, this morning I tweeted something's wrong. The whole picture doesn't make sense to me. So I tweeted the following comment, if I could get it up here. Just with this technical glitch that just happened, I'm a little upset. I can't get my tweeters back. My tweeters aren't working. My tweeter isn't working. But I tweeted yesterday it was North Korea. What's going on? When I got up, I said, what happened to the North Korea threat? Why so many tweets about sex and Muslims this morning from the president? Wait a minute. Yesterday he said he'll take care of this thing. This morning it was about Muslims in Europe and about Matt Lauer and sex things with NBC. What's going on here? Where did North Korea, the threat ended overnight? They took care of that thing. Over. I'm glad. Hey, thank you, Mr. President. The North Korea threat is officially over. Everyone clap, or the secret police will come to get you. All the trumpeteers will get you. You must clap repeatedly on talk radio if you supported the president. You must be like in North Korea, especially if you didn't support Trump for a year straight and mocked him for a year straight, like that blowhard who ripped him to shreds, and that was his biggest bootlicker I've ever heard in my life. Guess he wants access to Mar-a-Lago's buffet line. Guess he wants to eat the turkey a la king. What happened to the North Korea threat? Why so many tweets about sex and Muslims? No answer. All right, so a lot of people had their opinion. And I don't know. What happened to North Korea? What are we talking about this for? Should conservatives celebrate the downfall of left-wing stars under such nefarious charges? For whom the bell tolls for thee, Garrison Keillor. I don't even know he was still living. National Public Radio host. Fired over allegations of inappropriate behavior. Matt Lauer. Fired for sexual misconduct. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, misconduct. What does that mean? There's not a man alive today who could not be fired if someone comes forward and says he engaged in sexual misconduct. Is that enough to destroy a person's life? Apparently, yes. So let me pose this question. What about the women who are predators in the media and in government? You're telling me there are none? Are you joking? It's part of the human condition. There are a lot of women who like women. You're telling me there aren't a lot of women in Hollywood who have gone after young women to give them parts? Oh, we haven't seen any of that, have we? Why not? Well, I don't have an answer for that, but I think I know the answer to that. Because it's a war on men. Linda disagrees with me. Linda on line 1 from B.O.B. in Jacksonville. What's your opinion?
Hi. I don't know that it's a war on men, but I totally agree with you. It's a scary time to be a man. It really is. And I've been on the receiving side when I was a younger girl in selling air.
When you say on the receiving side, tell me what occurred that you considered to be inappropriate behavior.
Building a...
Now, let's start with rape.
Wait.
No one's talking about rape. No one's talking about grabbing a woman.
No.
Those are sexual assaults. We all agree with that. We're not talking about rape or groping. We're talking about something else. What do you mean by you've been on the receiving end?
Where I was being stalked and harassed by a boss.
Stalked? He trailed you home?
Yeah. I had
That's already a different story. That's a different story.
I had a bad time.
All right. So, okay, Linda, thank you. I'm sending you a copy of God, Faith, and Reason. I want to read you one paragraph from my best-selling book, God, Faith, and Reason, which is in every bookstore in America, mainly the big chains. It's one page, Duality of Man. It's to do with sex. Page 235. I think a lot of mental problems come from repression. The people who repress their thoughts or ideas most strongly become crazier. The more you try to repress what you're feeling, the more disturbed you become, and the more violent you can become. So what am I saying? Why not do it in the road? Watch where I'm going with this. I didn't say do it in the road. Here's the whole trick. To recognize that you feel like doing it in the road, to recognize that you have lust, if that's the issue with you. I'm giving you one example, sex, because that's all that we think about in America night and day and night. Sex, 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 sex. Every newspaper you read, the eye goes to every moron on a yacht in the Caribbean doing an Instagram upside-down shot. Big deal. How many times can those bimbos stretch themselves on a rented boat to show us their bikinis? Get over it already. We all have a body. We've all seen it before. There are no ideas there. They're an example of the fallen man. It's sad for all those girls. They're like mental cases. What I'm saying to you is don't repress what you're thinking and feeling. Accept what you're thinking and feeling, but don't act on those feelings. I write this in Duality of Man and God, Faith and Reason. This last line. Don't repress what you're thinking and feeling. Accept what you're thinking and feeling. Accept what you're thinking and feeling, but don't act on what you're thinking and feeling if it's inappropriate. I learned a long time ago that the trick is to recognize that you have those feelings, but to refrain from acting on them. In one sentence, and I learned this in high school, the difference between a sane person and an insane person is not what he thinks, but what he does. Now, if we're arresting people for thought crimes today, we're in a whole new universe, aren't we? All right, that's that. I don't think you want to talk about it. I think you're burned out on it. People are like dumbfounded by it all. How about the birth rates thing? The guy in the EU, they had a Mr. Juncker. Mr. Juncker. The Juncker says that they need to import millions of Africans. Looking ahead, the birth rate is too low. But, you know, if you look at the African birth rates, it's shocking. Niger, 46.12 per thousand. Uganda, 44.1 births per thousand people. I swear to you, it's crazy. Uganda, 44.7. Malawi, Somalia, 40 births per thousand. Afghanistan, they're breeding 38.8 children born per thousand. Congo, 36.5 per thousand. So the highest birth rates are in Africa. Now go down the list. You go all the way down the list. You get to countries like, they're very high, very high, very high. Even Saudi Arabia has a birth rate of 18.7 per thousand, which I didn't believe they're still reproducing in Saudi Arabia. You come to North Korea, 14.5 per thousand. These are high numbers. What year is this? No, these numbers aren't right. These are stupid. The United States is not 13.4. Where did I get this chart from? What is this, from 1901? Someone sent me a bum chart, so scratch it from the record. See, this is what I get from bad research. Okay, we'll go to World Factbook. Try another source. Central Intelligence Agency. Country comparison, birth rate. Angola, 44.2. Same numbers? Same numbers? Are that high? Laos, 23.6. Algeria, they're knocking out 22.2. Tonga, 22.2 kids per thousand. I don't think those numbers are right. Guam is knocking out 19.7. Wait, let me go down and see. Israel, that's not true. Israel's not doing 18 children per thousand. This is crazy. I don't believe this is correct. Let me go to the U.S. because I know the numbers here. New Caledonia, Lebanon, Brazil. I'm reading the birth rates. Albania, 13.2. Ireland was like 1 or 0.7. The lowest birth rate in Europe was in Serbia. Austria, 9.5. This can't be correct. This must include immigrants in the birth rate. This is all distorted. We're talking about the indigenous population. It's not 9 children per thousand in Serbia. That's stupid. Who came up with these numbers? Japan doesn't have 7.7 children per thousand. They're not reproducing in Japan. Who came up with these numbers? Okay, so the whole thing is wrong. Trust old Doc Savage. The birth rates are so low in Western Europe and America that the only answer may be immigration. Or else the nation just hollows out. How is it going to work? Where are the children going to come from in this society? Tell me. If Hollywood extols free love, sex with anyone, if it moves, if it has a pulse, have sex with it, which is what Harvey put out in the movie. If it had a pulse, have sex with it. You know, drugs, sex, and rock and roll. So there's no reproduction, no children. Children are considered, ew. Do that to my body? Ew. So where are the children supposed to come from? Immigration. That's the population situation, to make it simple. Okay? So we can talk about that. I don't know, is it directly tied, the birth rate, to the sex scandals in America? In a weird, sick way, yes. In a weird way, there's a kind of connection here. Rachel, WABC Line 3, what's your topic?
The birth rate. I'm confused. For decades, we were told that we need zero population because we need to save the planet, and that too many babies was oppressing women, their bodies, their education, their autonomy, all of that stuff that, women...
Yeah, that was the left. That was the left's way of conducting a genocide against the indigenous population of America. The left wing wanted to stop reproduction in America, mainly amongst white people, because those are the only people who listen to them. And then they are now replacing that with bringing as many immigrants from Africa and the Middle East as you can, because what they're doing is conducting a form of psychological genocide and now a physical genocide against the population.
So how can they say both scenarios and that there's no...
How? Since when does the left make any sense?
I know, but this is my question. Which one is correct? Do we need zero population, or do we need more people? Because if we need more people, why can't we make our own people?
Well, that's a simple thing to say, that the American population should have more babies, but they're not going to do it. The boys don't have the desire to get married and have children. They're not man enough to stick it out and raise a child. They're too narcissistic and self-centered to even stick it out to raise a child, because most of the boys in America, even the men, are like children themselves. They're not men. They want to be children the rest of their lives, so they don't want to raise children. I'm talking by and large. There are exceptions. Then you have the issue of the same-sex issue, which there's no children for. So there's no reproduction there. So where are the children going to come from?
Well, if we bring all these immigrants and populate, then what about the pollution and the zero population in the world?
Well, I don't know. What am I? Well, there's got to be a limit to a population. I mean, common sense would tell you there has to be a limit to the number of people that a nation can sustain.
How about the planet? Because it's like all this stuff goes into the ocean.
That's right. Look, even if you did basic biology in high school, did you ever take biology? Did you ever work with a Petri dish? You know what a Petri dish is?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you have a Petri dish with agar solution, an agar gel, on which you grow various microorganisms. So if you put, let us say, a droplet of a microbe on a Petri dish and then cover it, that microbe will grow all over the Petri dish till eventually the entire Petri dish is covered, let us say, with penicillin mold, right?
Right.
So then the whole thing becomes a bluish-green penicillin mold until eventually the entire thing is filled up and all of the agar is gone, and then the microbe dies because it can't feed anymore. Well, that analogy works with a landmass as well. There is a limit to human population, just as there's a limit to every other population.
Well, here we are pushing 7 billion in one direction or the other. So,
well, you're raising a question that I've thought about. Man is consuming everything on the planet. Mankind is consuming every resource, living, every natural resource, whether it be minerals, wood,
and
animals. Yes. There's a limit to all of it, isn't there? The earth is screaming. The earth is screaming for relief. So what's the solution to it? Eugenics?
Which argument these people want to back up, but
well, forget them. What about our argument?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
do you think America has achieved the optimal population, or is there room for more?
Oh, I think it's a big country. There's lots.
No, all you got to do is fly over the vast center of America, and you see how unpopulated this nation actually is.
Exactly, but
it's astonishingly unpopulated.
I don't have the.
Sometimes I fly out of San Francisco heading east. Let's say,
mm-hmm.
So you fly out of Reno, and you start heading over Nevada, and then you look down, and you see lights, a little bit of a light here or there in a valley. I say there's no one there. There's only a few people living in these canyons. I think there's room for a lot more people in America, don't you?
Agree.
The question is, though, the reproduction is the issue, not the population per se. The American people are not reproducing sufficient to replace the population. That is the argument in the European Union. And it's far more exacerbated in Europe. They're not reproducing at all because they're into wild, crazy sexuality around the clock. They don't want families. They don't want the responsibility. Everyone lives for their own pleasure. And they don't want to give a child to the world because it takes too much work and takes too much out of them, in plain English. So what is the solution in the long run? That's what we're talking about.
Right. Well,
I'll be back.
But I just wanted to ask.
Hold it. Okay, I'm sending you God, faith, and reason. Maybe only God knows. Okay, that's a break. That's an actual break. That means hit the break button. Nitric oxide. You ever hear of it? Well, you better listen to me carefully. Nitric oxide. It's one of the most important molecules in your body. It promotes healthy circulation, which gets the oxygen and nutrients flowing throughout your body. It helps support healthy blood pressure. And you can help your body produce nitric oxide naturally by drinking Super Beets. Only Super Beets is made from beets grown to exacting standards. And then the nutrients are concentrated in a way that makes them usable to the body to create nitric oxide safely and naturally. So if you want to increase your body's nitric oxide levels, simply call 800-481-0504 or go to savagelovesbeats.com. Again, that's 800-481-0504. With your first order, you're going to get another 30-day supply of Super Beets for free, plus free indicator strips to see how Super Beets are working for you, and you get free shipping. It's a great deal. Call 800-481-0504, 800-481-0504, or go to savagelovesbeats.com today. So the president is now speaking about taxes. We went from North Korea. I guess he handled that, and now he's handling taxes. That's going to be resolved today, and on to health care. That'll be handled tomorrow. Don on line 8. Go ahead, please. You're on the Savage Nation.
Yeah, hi. I saw you on your interview with Larry King last night. I was pretty impressed.
Where did you see the Larry King interview? What channel?
I don't know what they want me to say. It was on RT News channel.
Oh, yeah. Well, Larry and I are both Jewish communist spies.
Yeah.
We'll be accused now of being like the Rosenbergs, who should be put in the electric chair because it's on RT.
Well, me too, because I DVR Russian TV news quite.
It's actually one of the best news channels around. Do you know that some of those women newscasters speak 4 languages compared to the morons in our news media here? They hardly speak English correctly.
And you see them in war zones, and I mean, they're really impressive.
No, they ask questions that are quite detailed. Obviously, it's a propaganda channel for Russia, but Larry's show is broadcast on RT around the world, which has nothing to do with RT. It has nothing to do with Russia. It's done in Glendale, California.
Yeah.
So what happened after you watched me talking to Larry King about God, faith, and reason? What happened?
Well, he was trying to sidestep you there in the beginning, but you did get to your God.
He set me up in the beginning. He wouldn't go to the God book. He tried to set me up with Roy Moore. He wouldn't let it go. I said, Larry, let it go already. I don't live in Arkansas. And he said, yeah, but what do you think about Roy Moore? I said, Larry, Larry, let me ask you a question, Larry. I said, can you find God in the bagel or in the hole of the bagel?
Remember that.
It was the only way I can get him off my back. Because he owns a bagel shop in Beverly Hills. I mean, what's he asking me a stupid question about Roy Moore for? I'm not involved in that election. I'm not like some people in the media who are literally in that election like it's their life and death. So what did that do for you, that interview? Making you search for God again?
Well, yeah, I watched my mom die of Alzheimer's. I mean,
all right. Horrible. Let me send you God, Faith, and Reason. I'm not sure it'll give you any solace, but it'll distract you for a few hours. The bell tolls. Time marches on. You missed my brilliant monologue. It is on michaelsavage.com. It'll be on Newsmax as well, where they're linking my articles now. They realize that I'm the most brilliant mind in the history of talk radio. And so you'll see my monologue, Why Conservatives Should Not Gloat Over the Fall of Leftist Media Icons. Because it's going to be, who's next? Who's going to be next? We don't know who's next. So Lauer's run out of town, ran up to see the son to get out of town so they don't, click him and push him there, the paparazzi. All right, he's gone. Garrison Keillor. Frankly, I didn't know he was still living. I'm glad to hear he was alive. I know he did Country Home Companion or something when Nixon was alive. That was the last I heard of him. But they fired him at NPR for inappropriate behavior. And now Trump's talking about taxes. It's going to be a beautiful tax. Beautiful taxes. North Korea is beautiful today. Beautiful Medicare, Medicaid, environment. Everything's beautiful. Whatever happened to the elephants? Remember 2 weeks ago I helped to save the stopped importation of elephant trophies? And he said he was going to think about codifying that. Did he ever follow through on that, Robert? He was going to follow through on it that week. I don't know. No one followed him. Where is he with the trees? Missouri. I got to, how does he do this? What a terrible job being a president. What if you wake up one morning and you got a migraine and you're tired, you don't want to go on a trip, and you have a tax speech from Missouri a day after the North Korea speech, which nobody could follow. And you wake up, it's like, I don't want to go. Sorry, Mr. President, you have to go. I'm not going. You have to go. They're expecting you to talk about, I'm not going. I want to stay in bed. I got a migraine and I don't feel good. My gout is acting up. I'm not going. Send somebody. There is no somebody else. Where's Vice President Pence? I have no idea where he went. You don't see him anymore. Have you noticed that? He's out of the limelight. Where is he? Remember Pence was everywhere in the beginning? Where is he? I don't know. I can't follow the whole thing. So I shifted to another topic, which is the head of the EU, this guy Juncker, said that they need millions of refugees, immigrants, to replace the population in Europe because they're not reproducing. So I looked up low birth rates. Japan has nearly the lowest birth rate in the world. What? Number one of the lowest birth rate in the world by country is Japan. Why? They're looking at Mickey Mouse. Italy, the second lowest birth rate. What are they doing? Looking at themselves in the mirror. Hong Kong, third lowest rate. Why? They're looking at dim sum. Portugal, another low rate. Why? They're looking at Spain. Greece, the next low rate. Why? Because they're smoking too many cigarettes. South Korea, the next low rate. Why? They're not eating enough kimchi. Puerto Rico, the next low rate. Why? They're trying to move to Florida. Not busy. They can't reproduce. Next low rate, Germany. They're not reproducing. Why? They're in love with themselves. Serbia, next low rate. Why? Bermuda, Hungary, Poland, all low birth rates. UAE, 10 per 1,000. Netherlands, 10 per 1,000. Finland, 10 per 1,000. Switzerland, Denmark, they're all low. Gutter, I can't pronounce that country. Everyone tries to trick themselves up on it. You say Qatar, gutter, no one knows how to pronounce it. Can't they change the name of it to something like Arabia? Gutter, 10 per 1,000. Estonia, 11 per 1,000. Luxembourg, 11 children per 1,000. Births. Ukraine, 11. I'm not going to read all the numbers, but you go way down the list. It's shocking. They're not reproducing anymore. Why? Well, I'll tell you, there's a number of reasons. Why? It's simple. Economic causes. Because, in the old days, a person would raise children irrespective of whether they had money. I grew up, people didn't have money. They had children. And they did the best they could. They sent their kids to city colleges if they didn't have money to send them out of town, so to speak. And the kids either made it or they didn't, based upon their brains and the ability to get through school. But now I guess the parents expect that the child must go to a so-called great university. What, so they can come home sleeping with their roommate? They can come home not being able to do anything except take SSRIs or whatever? I'm not knocking it. They think that the better educated a person is, the greater their chances of success in life. That's not true anymore. So one is the economic thing. They don't want to have a child because they can't buy a new car, mainly. They'd rather buy a new Porsche than have a new son. So that's another reason. It's about that. And so they say, okay, we got to bring in people from Africa to Europe to replace the population because they're not, 20, 30 years, there is no Europe. It's just empty. The hollow... there's a great poem. Where can I get my hands on it? I need to look it up. Oliver Goldsmith. It's about the fading of the European population as they left the land for the cities. Can someone look it up? I'm groping. I got 3 people. No one hears me on a cue like this. It's Oliver Goldsmith. The Hollow Land or something like that. What a great poem. It was written in the 1700s when people in England were leaving the farms to go to the cities. He saw the land hollowing out, emptying out, rather. So we're going through another cycle of an emptying and an arriving. Just got to get used to it. You got to flow with the whole thing. You know and I know that the city you're living in is not the city of your birth, and everyone knows that. So you get used to it because it's not going to change. It's never going to be what it was when you were a child. Never. Those days are over. WABC, Yaffa, line 3. Go ahead, please. What's your topic?
Yes, hi. I was listening to your show, and I heard you talking about birth rates and about Israel. And I'm from Israel. I'm an Orthodox Jew. I'm the second oldest of 11 kids. My husband is the 5th of 10 kids. And that's about the average-sized family. I know a friend I went to camp.
Yeah, but wait, hold on. Of course that's true. The ultra-religious have huge families. But the secular, wait, let me finish. But the secular have very, very small numbers of children.
but it's not ultra religious. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I listen to your show a lot, and many times your perceptions of the Orthodox Jews is just not right. The very, very ultra Orthodox, I guess you mean Hasidim when you say that, maybe. But there's regular Frum Jews, what we call it, Frum, which is.
Wait, can we not turn this into the Jewish hour, because I'll have to play the Joe and Paul song in a minute. The show is getting to be too Jewish. I mean, what is your point?
My point was just saying that Israel has a huge birth rate because they have tons of kids. And over here in America,
you don't have a huge birth rate. You are wrong. The religious have a high birth rate, but not the general population. You're living inside a bubble where you see only your own community. You're wrong about that.
And I actually left my community a very long time ago. And I have many, many friends who are not religious, weren't born religious, weren't raised religious. And they also, so instead of 11 kids, they have 6 or 7. That's a normal amount of kids in Israel. That's not considered
You are wrong. That is not the normal amount of kids in Israel. That's amongst the people you know.
But for 32 years I've lived there. And
Yafa, you don't understand what I'm saying to you. You know, it's like people look at a illness. Epidemiology, which is a field I study, is based upon statistics and data, not upon what you feel. And the birth rate in Israel is rather low. It is very high amongst the ultra-religious and perhaps amongst the Yemenite immigrants, but not amongst the general population. Let's put it that way. The Ashkenazi Jew, the European Jews, have a very low birth rate. Did you know that?
We're in Israel?
All right, we're going to go and start. This is so headachy. Let me send you God, Faith, and Reason. Take 2 aspirin and get back to me tomorrow. Because, yes, I said in Israel. I repeat myself again. Is he still speaking? Is it safe to turn the TV on again? It's McCain again? What? I mean, I'm not saying this in any derogatory fashion, but what happened to the cancer of the eye? That went away. Is he better? Now he's got a foot problem? Well, when you shoot yourself in your foot, you're in a wheelchair. The whole tax thing is in John McCain's hands? Can you believe this moron has this power over this country? This psycho? This Manchurian candidate? Okay, whatever. Garrison Keillor fired, says he put his hand on a woman's back. Oh, come on. I just got the data here. Minneapolis Star-Tribune. Citing an inappropriate behavior with an individual worker in Minnesota PR, blah, 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 Prairie Home Companion, blah, blah. In the email to the Star-Tribune today, Keillor said, listen to me carefully, folks. Quote, I put my hand on a woman's bare back. Bare back. I'm sorry. He made a mistake even writing that. Bare back? I mean, what is this? What do you mean? I put my hand on I can't even read it. I'm getting tumbled. I put my hand on a woman's bare back. I meant to pat her back after she told me about her unhappiness and her shirt was open, and my hand went up to it about 6 inches. This is getting so suggestive. Bare back, 6 inches. She recoiled. I apologized. I sent her an email or apology later, and she replied that she had forgiven me and not to think about it. We were friends. We continued to be friendly right up until her lawyer called. I don't know. I can't make anything up. I put my hand on a woman's bare back. Bare back. Bare back. I meant to pat her back, but her shirt was open and my hand went up it about 6 inches. The guy's digging his own grave here. This is stupid. This guy's not that smart to put this in writing. He's apologizing or he's explaining. You know, you talk about religious Jews. You know that they don't let a woman will not shake your hand. If you go in a religious Jewish community and you normally don't know, you reach out to shake, they won't shake your hand. They say, no, it's not in our culture. They were ahead of their time by thousands of years. You can't touch their hand. Well, look at the Chinese, the ancient Chinese. They shook their own hand. That was for disease. You had to shake a Chinese hand, let's say, hundreds of years ago. They shook their own hand. They bowed forward and shook their own hands. Why? They didn't want to touch your dirty hand. They didn't know if you just wiped yourself or touched a dirty vegetable somewhere or a mouse or hitched up your shoe. So they didn't touch your hand. Maybe we should go back to not shaking hands in this society. I hate handshaking to begin with. The reason I hate handshaking is not because of the filth. That's number one. You know, hygiene's a big deal, and people don't recognize this. You know how dirty things are in your society? Everywhere you turn, filth. I know this is psychologically very threatening. I'm a hand washer. People mock hand washers. But you know what? Get back to me when you're my age. I'm telling you that hygiene is the number one way to stay alive. I incessantly wash my hands. If I go in a restaurant, forget about it. I wash my hands before I sit down. I come out like a surgeon. I'm one of those guys who goes in the toilet. I'm not alone. I see the paper on the floor. They even have a can now next to the door. You wash like a surgeon, hands up. The trick is to get the paper out of the toilet paper dispenser without touching the metal. Because the minute you touch the metal to get the paper, if it's like in too far, bingo, you're contaminated. You have to go back to the washing stand. So you wash, you go to the thing, you pull out the paper very, very gingerly, you wipe the hands, right? Now, follow my attention. I know I'm not alone on this. Now you got a big challenge to get back to your table to eat the bread or whatever without touching a thing. So the first challenge is, how do you get out of the bathroom without touching a door? That's simple. A foot, a knee. What do you think God gave you a knee or a foot for? It wasn't to bow down to hate America. You use your knee to open the door. Now you're still stuck with the paper in your hand. So you don't throw it on the floor like a pig. The good restaurants now have a can there near the door for the men to throw. So now you got another challenge to get back to the table without touching. What if you meet a schmuck on the way back to your table? Hey, Bill, how are you? And they want to shake your hand. Now you're stuck. Because the minute you shake Bill's hand, you got to go back in the bathroom and start the hand washing again. So I'm advising you that if Bill wants to shake your hand after you just washed them before sitting down in a restaurant, you got to say, hi, Bill, I have pneumonia. I don't want to shake your hand, or something like that. Tell him you have, like, the flu. No, you got to get out of it. You can't shake the hand. That's it, just a simple. Hygiene is very important. But where does he come off to touch the woman's naked back like this and go 6 inches up her shirt? I went up her back about 6 inches. It's creepy, by the way. That is a very liberal thing. Kilo said, I put my hand on a woman's bare back. That, number one, is a bit creepy. I don't know. I would never do that. I'll ask the guys in Dallas who are on the show. I won't mention their names because they'll get embarrassed. But, Jim, you're an older man. Would you touch a woman's bare back? No, let's say I'm saying in a workplace. You see a woman with an open shirt in the back. Would you touch her bare back? You know already it's creepy to do that. That's a very liberal, creepy thing. I meant to pat her back after she told me about her unhappiness and her shirt was up, and my hand went up at about 6 inches. She recoiled. I apologized. Of course she's going to recoil. You're like a perv when you touch a woman's back like that. What'd you expect her to do? Your clammy little liberal hand. Your sweaty little hand with small fingers. Of course she recoiled. It felt like a lizard touched her, probably. All right, he's finished. Fartig, he's gone. I blew through a stop, said I'll be back. Garrison Keillor fired, says he put hand on a woman's back. That just came out. Citing inappropriate behavior with an individual who worked with him. Minnesota Public Radio said Wednesday it has terminated his relationship with Garrison Keillor, the former host of a Prairie Home Companion. Okay. In an email to the Star Tribune Wednesday, Keillor said, I put my hand on a woman's bare back. I meant to pat her back after she told me about her unhappiness. And her shirt was open, and my hand went up it about 6 inches. She recoiled. I apologized. I sent her an email of apology later, and she replied that she had forgiven me. We were friends. We continued to be friendly right up until a lawyer called. The lawyers? Shakespeare knew what to do with the lawyers. Shakespeare, it's the lawyers. Which lawyer, I want to know, is making the most money off these claims against guys with big salaries and big connections to big corporations? Is it one firm or many? Is it not the mother and daughter combo, is it? All right, whatever. That's only one topic. I'm afraid to open a Drudge Report to see who got it now. What? Oh, my God, this just came out on Lauer now. Gave coworker sex toy, showed employee penis. Oh, come on now. That's disgusting. Assaulted staffer during Olympics? Wait a minute, this is new now. Gave coworker sex toy? Someone leaked. That's a wrong word. Showed employee penis. Now Geraldo Rivera has to jump in, Mr. Irrelevant. He says the news is a flirty business. You know what that means, huh? If he's already saying the news is a flirty business, you know what's coming tomorrow, right? Wow. Wow, man. No wonder I just stay at home with the dog. So the sex-obsessed nation that we all reside in, we forgot North Korea already. The guy with the blubberneck, Mr. Kim Jong, whatever, I can't remember the owner, the ill, is celebrating the new ICBM, saying it was a success and going to reach all of the USA. We're already on to Garrison Keillor and Matt Lauer. Multiple women accuse Lauer of sex harassment. Okay, we know he's out. But the new information is what he allegedly did. And I don't know whether to read it on the air. I mean, it's so gossipy, juicy, crazy. You look at the guy. Did you ever think he was that pervy? And by the way, would anyone actually do this at work without being seen as insane? Forget that he's married. Let's say he's even a single guy and he's libidinous. What man would do this in a workplace? Variety magazine, just out minutes ago. Matt Lauer accused of sexual harassment by multiple women, exclusive. Okay? I'll read it now, just cold. What man would actually do this? As the co-host of NBC's Today Show, Matt Lauer once gave a colleague a sex toy as a present. It included an explicit note about how he wanted to use it on her, which left her mortified. Do you actually believe a man would do that? On another day, Lauer summoned a different female employee to his office and then dropped his pants, showing her his penis. After the employee declined to do anything, visibly shaken, he reprimanded her for not engaging in a sexual act. Does that sound real to you? He would sometimes quiz female producers about who they'd slept with, offering to trade names, and he loved to engage in a crass quiz game with men and women in the office, which I'm not going to read to you. These accounts of Matt Lauer's behavior at NBC are the result of a 2-month investigation by Variety, with dozens of interviews with current and former staffers. Variety has talked to 3 women who identify themselves as victims of sexual harassment by Lauer, and their stories have been corroborated by friends or colleagues that they told at the time. They have asked for now to remain unnamed, fearing professional repercussions. That's the part I don't like. One of the principal laws in America, until the radical feminist lawyers came along, was you get a chance to face your accuser. But now all a woman has to say is you did this and you never face her? Something is wrong here. Now, he has a $25 million annual salary. I told you at the beginning of the show, if you missed the monologue, you can catch it on michaelsavage.com, is to follow the money. In nearly every contract with these big names, they answer to the contract. There's a moral turpitude clause, which we were told is a Pee Wee Herman clause. Now, Pee Wee Herman famously got caught doing things in a pornographic movie house and lost his living entertaining his children as Pee Wee Herman. But if you are working in the media, you sign a contract which has a moral turpitude clause which says you shall not commit any act which might tend to bring actor blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line says, in the event of such termination of this agreement, employer will have the right to nullify the terms of the agreement and refuse any further compensation. That could be why NBC stock rose after they fired Lauer, because they can get out of the contract without paying him off. The woman employee met with Human Resources at NBC on Monday night. So they studied it, blah, blah, blah. Several women told Variety they complained to executives at the network about Lauer's behavior, which fell on deaf ears given the lucrative advertising surrounding Today. This is, here's an irony, and I'm gonna have a little fun right now. The lucrative advertising surrounding Today. I have this little radio show. I've had it for 23, 24 years. I do okay. None of the advertisers on ABC, CBS, or NBC will go on my show. I'm not a good guy. They'll go on Matt Lauer's show, this dirtbag. If these allegations are true, this filthy piece of garbage. Well, who advertised on his show? Every company wouldn't advertise on my show. See, I'm on a no-buy list. You know what my crime is? I'm a conservative. Do you know what a no-buy list is? Who makes them up? The 4 chieftains of the advertising business, if there are that many, 4 of them run the entire media. They determine who gets the big accounts. Cadillac, the Chrysler, the Hertz. All of the big products that should be on this show will not come near me because of 4 monsters in the advertising business and the media who put me on a no-buy list, which is a blacklist, which, by the way, is illegal, according to 3 antitrust attorneys I have spoken to. I've just chosen never to sue them. But I'll tell you, the day will come that that's going to happen. There will be a class action suit of everybody in the media who's been on this blacklist, and I'm not alone. They will go after the advertising agencies, not after the advertisers, and you will see heads fly. And there's a very interesting story here, that they would choose to advertise on Matt Lauer's NBC show but not on my show because I'm a bad guy because I believe in borders, language, and culture. And what does he believe in? Oh. Despite being married, Lauer was fixated on women, especially their bodies and looks, one in more than 10 accounts. He was known for making lewd comments. Blah, blah, blah. He once made a suggestive reference to a college performance in bed. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Lauer, who was paranoid about being followed by tabloid reporters, grew more emboldened at 30 Rockefeller Center as his profile rose following Katie Couric's departure from Today in 06. His office was in a secluded space, and he had a button under his desk that allowed him to lock his door from the inside without getting up. This afforded him the assurance of privacy. It allowed him to welcome female employees and initiate blah, 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 inappropriate contact while knowing nobody could walk in him, according to 2 women who were sexually harassed by Lauer. Oh, I'm exhausted from it. Whatever. Okay. Well, once he went on a trip with him, asked the producer to deliver him a pillow, blah, blah, blah. This was part of a pattern. So he was a pillow. That was his big come on. Bring me a pillow. That was part of a pattern. According to multiple accounts independently corroborated by Variety, Lauer would invite women employed by NBC late at night to his hotel room while covering the Olympics in various cities. He later told colleagues that his wife had come along. The spotlight on Lauer intensified earlier this month when his longtime booker, Matt Zimmerman, was fired over sexual harassment complaints. Him too? The two were very close, and Lauer had promoted Zimmerman to a high executive position and offered him a powerful perch. Lauer's conduct was not a secret among other employees at Today. At least one of the anchors would gossip about stories she had heard. Okay, that's the story. Lauer and others was a lep. What do you call a leech? Leprechaun, someone else. Oh, he's gone. He was the loofah man. The loofah man got it a long time ago. They smeared off for the loofah. That's a little too rich for the room. He was the first to go. Leprechaun was the first to go. Remember, down this merry-go-round? Who was the first on the merry-go-round? Leprechaun. And this one isn't the last. In September, Lauer asked Fox News star anchor Bill O'Reilly, if he'd ever sent lewd text messages to colleagues. Think about those women and what they did, Lauer said. They came forward and filed complaints against the biggest star at the network they worked at. Think about how intimidating they must have been. Doesn't that tell you how strongly they felt about you? I don't follow that. I don't know why would you ask Riley these questions. Traveling had a cold sore on my lip, and I heard him say to Brian Gumbel, she has this really ugly cold sore on her lip. Like that was something to be ashamed of. That's a sexual harassment? To notice someone has an ugly cold sore? That's harassment now? So this is getting stupid at a certain point. All right, you pull out a sex toy in a room, that you go to jail for that. If he actually did this, if he gives a colleague a sex toy as a present with a note how to use it on her, I put him in prison. That is assault. I would find that very not offensive. I'd find that repulsive, not offensive. That's repulsive. So he's a guaranteed deviant, a perv. See the USA and a Chevrolet. They all advertise on a show. Me, they don't come near. Not one major conservative talk show host has the advertisers that advertised on this dirtbag show. Why? Because of the four monsters that control the advertising business. Oh, yeah, sure, you'll be on a Today show, right? Maybe we can get you some room to advertise your car. No, you can't go on talk radio. They're right-wingers. We can't put you on the right-winger show. This may all change now. Maybe I'll just dust off that old antitrust lawsuit from that old Democrat antitrust lawyer and just go after him tooth and claw. Maybe I'll finally take the gloves off and go after the advertising agencies that won't advertise on my show and call it an antitrust lawsuit. And let's see how it plays out in the Trump Justice Department. Just maybe you'll start to hear car ads on the Savage Nation. I'm not complaining about my show. I got great advertisers. But you're never going to hear the advertisers that advertise at NBC. Why? Because they're not right-wingers. Well, what is he then? A perv-winger? If I'm a right-winger, what is he, a perv-winger? Oh, he looks it. Now you look at him with that shaved head. Now all I see is a pervert. He'll never look the same. What's he going to his son's school for? How could he explain this to his son? Well, son, you may read crap in the newspaper today about me that I gave a colleague a sex toy, including a note about how I wanted to use it on her. Don't believe a word you read, son. That's not the real father. That's not who your father is. I'm not that man. I'm a much better person than that. Guarantee you tomorrow he gives $5 million to like a children's hospital with leukemia. That's tomorrow. Okay, that's that. You don't want to talk about this, do you? No one's calling on this. It's like you think you know it all. That's new. I read you the new Variety report. I was shocked by it. I just stunned by it. Megyn Kelly knew. Kathy Lee Gifford ready to forgive. Guthrie, I'm heartbroken. Used to mock workplace harassment. What are you going to look like in 3 years, like in Boca with a hat on, not with sunglasses? He'll be like walking around invisible, going to like invisible restaurants on Federal Highway in Florida, like in the winter. Like these restaurants, like there's no one in them. They're like witness protection Italian restaurants. Anyone know what I'm talking about, like in Florida in the summer? Why are those restaurants open on Federal Highway when there's no business? It's like, Anna's Kitchen from Bensonhurst. Or John's Pizzeria down the road. And there's nobody there in the summer. They were like glassed-in buildings. He could open one of those. Or he could open a restaurant. And what would the name of Matt Lauer's new restaurant be? Let's play games now for a minute. Let's have fun with him. Lauer's Lear? Why don't we make some suggestions for Matt Lauer's restaurant that he could open in somewhere along Federal Highway in Boca Raton in the summer? Lauer's Lear, not instead of Lauer's Lair. He could open like a little bar, let's say on the water, down in the Florida Keys, like not shaved, look disheveled, put on weight, wear sunglasses. Lauer's Lair, and people come in snickering, saying it's really Lauer's Lear. Any other question? I mean, I'm going to talk about this for a while. I'm sick and tired of North Korea because nothing was done. He said, we'll handle it. What happened? What happened? He handled it. I guess today was taxes. He gave a good speech on taxes, by the way, the president. Very good. About bringing the money home. They're going to bring home trillions. We won't tax it. They can bring it in. They bring it home. The trillions will go to you. And what do you think Tim Cook will do with the money when they let it in for tax-free? You're going to get something out of it? Tell me what you're going to get out of it. When Google brings home trillions, and when Facebook brings home the trillions or whatever they have overseas, and they pay no taxes on it, what do you think they're going to do with the money? You're going to get a penny of it? Where's the money going to go? What are they going to do? Build a new Google city somewhere? Well, that's jobs. They can bring in illegal aliens to build them. I was reading a story the other day that after Katrina, the bums who run the state were bringing in illegal aliens from Mexico to do the construction work, while the people from Louisiana were out of work. They were crying that the construction workers were bypassed by the powers that be to hire cheaper labor from Mexico. It was sickening. And there's McCain, the strange one, the Manchurian candidate. Down to him. And Al Franken is giving a lecture on women's health today. Really? And the media is melting down over Melania's White House Christmas decor. They're calling the Christmas decor in the White House Walls of the Dam nightmarish and a scene from The Shining. What is that about? We'll look into that when I return right here on the Savage Nation. Anti-Trump media coming up, exposed like Matt Lauer on the Savage Nation. I mean, this fits right in talking about mattresses. Truthfully, I got to tell you, I've been sleeping on my great Casper mattress for a while, and I pick it over every mattress I ever had. It really does help me get the best night's sleep, period. Once you try Casper, you're never, ever going to go back to anything else. And by the way, switching to Casper is a no-brainer, higher quality, more affordable price. You'll sleep cool, comfortable every night thanks to Casper's 2 high-tech foams, much better than the old, overpriced mattress you probably have. You see, Casper ships right to your door for free in a small, how they do that box, and they'll pick it up if you don't love it and refund you everything from its breakthrough design and superior quality to its packaging to letting you try it for 100 nights. It's no wonder Casper was named one of Fast Company's 50 most innovative brands of 2017. So pay attention. Sleeping on the mattress is the best way to try it. Put Casper to the test in your own home for 100 nights, risk-free. Go to Casper.com, code SAVAGE, and you will get $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. You heard me. That's Casper.com, code SAVAGE, and you're going to get $50 towards the purchase of that mattress. Casper.com, terms and conditions apply. So there goes Lauer with the Variety story. Is shocking. At first I thought maybe it was like an innocent, he touched someone or shook her back or with a tap. Now there's sex toys and this. The guy was a crazy guy if he did that stuff. Now Garrison Keillor goes. They said he touched a woman's bare back. He said he touched her back. After she fetched to him that her life wasn't good, he went to touch the back, and the hand went 6 inches up, and it was a bare back, and she got icky. Then he apologized. She said, it's okay. Now a lawyer comes out of the woodwork, and he's gone. Well, what do you make of all this? We're living in a witch hunt right now. True or false, it's a witch hunt. And you must go back to my opening statements on why conservatives should not gloat over the fall of leftist media icons. Read it very carefully. It's on michaelsavage.com and see if it makes sense, because it made sense to me. If you want to come up with stories of a restaurant Lauer could open now that he's out of the media in Florida somewhere on an obscure highway, Maria on ABC says she thinks he should open Lauer's Lecherous Luncheonette. Not bad. Rob on WABC, God, I wish I had the time. He says you're right to not take sides on sex assaults, because what goes around comes around. It's only a matter of time until the conservatives get it. I'm telling you as I sit here. You listen to me. All those in the conservative side who are gloating over this, they better go read For Whom the Bell Tolls. They can read it on the link on michaelsavage.com, because the bell tolls for thee. You are Matt Lauer. You are Charlie Rose. You are Garrison Keillor. Why? If you don't know that, then go and hunt an elephant and bring home a trophy. Oh, music from the Deuce. Welcome to the Savage Nation. It is the Savage Nation. No one watches that show but me. It's over already, thank God. I love the music in that show, The Deuce. It's on HBO, I think. I don't know. Showtime, who knows? The only thing I didn't like about that show was the actor. He overplays how hot he is, and he's trying to be too cool. No one knows what I'm talking about. So I may as well start to just ramble on and read Oliver Goldsmith, The Deserted Village, because it ties into everything I'm talking about today. It's a few lines. Ill fares the land to hastening ills a prey, where wealth accumulates and men decay. Princes and lords may flourish or may fade. A breath can make them, as a breath has made. But a bold peasantry, their country's pride, when once destroyed, can never be supplied. And what this poem was about, I believe it was written in the 1700s, it was about the emptying out of the villages of England as people left the farms and moved to the cities for work and whatever. And he laments the loss of the country folk. And I then tied that in today to the topic of the shrinking population in the West, where we do not have a replacement population. The last I checked, I think it had to be 2.3 children per couple to replace the two people, because some children don't reproduce. So you had to have not 2, but 2.3 on average. I don't mean you can have a third of a child. After all, it's not a television show. But on average, a population needs minimum 2.3 to replace itself. Now, we don't have 2.3 in America. Well, the immigrants have a much higher birth rate than we do. And so the head of the EU, this guy Junckers, looks ahead and says, owing to the population decline in Europe and the fact that they're not having children, they have to bring in millions of African immigrants, or there'll be no population in Europe. I know that flies in the face of everything that we stand for with regard to borders, language, and culture. But if you actually think about the future of America, where are the children going to come from? Tell me where. Now, I have an answer to that question, incidentally. If I were in charge of population in the United States, if Trump actually wanted to create a population office, I could run it, and I could ensure that there'd be a great resurgence of births in the United States of America. And it would be very simple. I'll tell you right into his tax plan today. You give a bonus to a married couple. A man and a woman who is married and has a child gets a huge tax bonus, whether it be in a deduction or a benefit. I don't care who screams. I don't care who yells. I don't care who comes out of the woodwork and says it's this, it's that. Period. Man and woman have a child, and you stay together for a minimum of 5 years. You get either a tax rebate or you get a payment from the government to have a child. Did you hear what I just said? You want population in the country, you can make it happen through economic levers. But that's not going to happen. It's too far thinking. You understand what I'm saying? So we'll have the empty village. The empty village is coming. And the immigrants are very happy, and they're bold, and they're having children. That's as simple as that. Then we get into the whole thing of the beard, Matt Lauer. It's a salacious story, so it's fun. Everyone loves the Matt Lauer story because A, he's a $20 million a year lib, and he's out, so everyone takes pleasure in that. Well, not so fast. Why conservatives should not gloat over the fall of leftist media icons, says I. I don't think there's anyone else in the conservative media who has the understanding that what goes around comes around. You got it? Because today it's them, tomorrow it's the right side of the... it's only a matter of time. That's all. We can talk about that. Now they're attacking Melania Trump. I'll do that just briefly. They're saying her decor, her Christmas decorations, are so horrible. It's like The Shining, Walls of the Dam, nightmarish, scene from The Shining. I actually clicked on it on the Drudge Report, and it's actually beautiful. She created what's a very Eastern European... It looks like the Winter Palace. Melania Trump says the decorations are up. White House is ready to celebrate, wishing you a Merry Christmas and joyous holiday season. Okay, so it's beautiful. It's like a stark, like white hall. That's very Eastern Euro. It looks like the Winter Palace. It's very Russian. You know what I'm saying? So that already struck the morons in the media as being The Shining. What, because it didn't have Disneyland written all over it? With a tower and bulbs flashing in your eye? She's a classy lady. She's too big for them. God bless her. Trump-hating media is out of control, belittling her. They don't like her decor. Stupid, spooky, nightmarish. She's the best thing we've had in the White House in a very long time. Can you imagine if Hillary had won and the first man would have been Bill Clinton? Can you imagine what his decor would have looked like? Okay, let's discuss marriage in America. Let's discuss children in America. Let's discuss the witch hunt in America. Let's discuss disgusting behavior towards women in America. Let's discuss lawyers and how the Shakespeare's line was not so wrong. Gave co-worker sex toy, showed employee penis. I read that already. I could just dodo. I could do this for another hour. The ratings would go way up. Variety actually covered the thing in great detail. They did a long analysis. And they said that he once gave a colleague a sex toy as a present. And we had a note about how he wanted to use it on her. Now, that's stupid. That's actually borderline insane. As far as I am concerned, anyone who does that in that power position, anywhere, is crazy. On another day, Lauer, they said, summoned a different female employee to his office and then dropped his pants showing her his junk. After the employee declined to do anything, visibly shaken, he reprimanded her for not engaging in a sexual act. You know, I'm a man. I know men. I've never known men to behave this way. I've known some pretty sick guys, I got to tell you. Really wild, crazy guys in New York. Now I don't know any. No one I know is not wild and crazy. But when I was younger, I hung around with pretty wild guys. I got to tell you, they were not like the quiet, subdued kind. These were run-around guys, and I never heard of anyone doing stuff like this. Who does this? Who does a thing like this of giving a colleague a sex toy at work with a note on how he wants to use it? So this shows bad judgment. It shows that they are really stupid, and they're so egotistical with their power. They feel so untouchable. They feel they can get away with anything. But here's the irony that's eating me up a little here is that the same advertisers on a Today Show put Michael Savage and others in the conservative media on a no-buy list. They will not advertise their cars. They will not advertise their products on our show because we're evil right-wingers. What, this pervert is a good guy? This dirtbag, if what's true, that's where you want to advertise your Cadillacs on, you jerks, you? Is there a class action lawyer in the crowd, the people I normally hate? Is there a good antitrust lawyer listening to this show? I don't need you. I got a guy in California here who's the one at the top, and he's a Democrat, too, and he loves me. He said, we all listen to you. He said, every big Democrat in the city listens to your show. You don't realize it. You've been on the air almost a quarter of a century. We have no one else to listen to here. Everyone else is stupid. He said, you're the only one we listen to for two reasons. A, you're smart, and B, you give us an opinion we never hear because we all talk to each other. So he's an old-time liberal, but this guy's major antitrust. Maybe I'll give him a little jingle tonight and ask if there's a nice little a nice little stinger on the way out the door. What am I going to ask you a question about Matt Lauer? I never liked it. I never even watched him. You see him in passing, and I'd see him in the back of my mind. I'm scanning the television. I'd see him in time. Christmas, if you say Matt Lauer to me, what do I get? Like a bald guy with a shaved head, with a creepy kind of smile next to a Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. That's all I remember. Freezing outside cold. That's all I remember of him. If he had if he was older and he had like a white wig that was fuzzy, he'd look like, who is that guy who I hate? I don't hate too many people. I detest him. Let's use that word. That comedian who I detest, who's so bad for the Jews. What's his name? Come on. Larry David. One of the worst images a Jew could ever have is Larry David. Remember I did a monologue about a month ago about where is the Einstein and the Jonas Salk of our time? That the only representatives of the Jewish people are Bernie Madoff, Larry David. I had a few. What's his name? Harvey Weinstein. What a year the Jews have had. What a year. And Larry David tops it off altogether. Every other show ridiculing Christians or his own religion. Wow. What a varsity team we have. But Matt Lauer now goes into the varsity team, the lineup. What's his next incarnation? A restaurant in Boca. He's got to open like a seafood peddler, like a seafood shucking restaurant. He wouldn't even open a restaurant. It would be like something where he would shuck clams on a beach, like for penance, like in Seattle. Maybe Seattle he could move to. He'd fit right in Seattle. He could move to Emmenclaw. That's a good place for him. That's an inside joke for those of you who know Emmenclaw. All right, what do you want to talk about? Now we're going to get all the callers on children. I got like my glands are swelling from the show. We go to a dinner tonight. Don't forget my problems. It's Christmas time soon. November's over soon. It's coming so fast. It happens every year like wing, bing. Right? Okay, we'll wait for the winter, right? It went from hot to cold here in one weekend where I live in the Bay Area. Talking hot, a heat wave, a roast aroma on Thanksgiving where you could die. A freak heat wave. Went out on my boat. Then all of a sudden, the weekend's over, and the temperature drops 20 degrees, and like I'm sleeping on the 4 layers of covers. I'm putting Teddy's pajamas on him at night. I give him a little coat. I call it his PJs. Sometimes he growls and doesn't let me put on this little check coat. He looks so cute. It's unbelievable. Come on, put your pajamas on, Teddy. You take pleasure in little things. So, okay, now winter's here. It's like, okay, I'm getting ready for winter. But then the next thing is bing, Christmas is over. And the next thing you know, the trees are budding and I have allergies around. I'm suffering again. How does it go so quickly? Oh, we got a recovering sex addict in the house. All right, let's go for it. I didn't do sex addiction. I didn't do the sex addiction. I don't believe there's such a thing as sex addiction, by the way. I think it's a choice, to be honest with you. All right, we'll deal with that thing. What do you mean sex addiction? What do you think people go to sex addiction clinics for? They meet people. Probably the safest place in the world to meet people is a sex addicts clinic. Who are you going to meet there? Someone as sick as you are. All right, I'm not knocking it. What is sex addiction? Jack on WMAC in MAC Radio, Georgia. You're a recovering sex addict, according to the board?
Yeah, and a couple years ago I would have agreed with you that there is no such thing. It's just...
All right, let's explain it to the audience. What is sex addiction? I'll take your word for it.
Well, the addictive mindset, one thing I learned in treatment, 90 days of very intense treatment, was that the addictive mindset is very similar in people that are using a substance or alcohol or drugs.
All right, so let's say your mind constantly ran to sex or to pornography. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a little deeper than that. That's the way of escape. It's the way the guys that I've met and have known through this. That's the way a lot of guys choose to get affirmation is through that or escape something that's.
Yeah, but honestly, come on, you're calling the show. I didn't draw you out. What did you do that made you go to sex treatment?
It all came out, and
yeah, no, I know, but what did you do? Give him plain English. What did you do?
Years and years of adultery and affairs and flings. Nothing illegal or assault-wise like some of these guys are doing, but that doesn't make it any better.
Oh, well, hold on. So your wife caught you, and then you had to go into the therapy because of that, or you went in on your own?
No. I was in the position of getting caught, and I brought it to light, and it was the best decision I ever made.
All right, so now you're cured now? You don't ever think of another woman, or when you think of them, what do you do?
If it was only that easy. No, it's now that...
Well, look, this is a law. I'm not a therapist, so I'm going to have to move on. I'll send you God, Faith, and Reason. It won't cure your problem, but it'll distract you for a few hours. Maybe you'll find some solace in it. Life is very hard. Life is not easy. From the simplest to the most profound problem, we are all walking on hot coals in some ways every day. Okay? Now, we can add to it, certainly, by making our lives even more miserable, by doing things we know are wrong, or we can subtract from the heat of the coals by getting off the hot coals. I understand all of that. But, where is America going to be after all of this, I don't even know what to call it yet, how to term it, the sex wars that are going on now, the men falling from these high, lofty positions. What is America going to be like a few years from now? After all of this is over, what will America be like? Will a young boy in college or high school be able to even say hello to a girl? Will he be afraid to even go up to a girl and say, hi, you're cute, I'd like to take you out? Or will that be considered a sex crime or an assault tomorrow because of the people who are behind this war between men and women? I want to know the answer to that question because I can see where this is coming from and I can see where it's going. And I'm going to take a break and we're going to come back and talk about it, whether you want to or not. I love my show. I got to tell you, I love it every day, and I'm having a better time than I've ever had in radio after all these years. Why? I can give you reasons another time, but the topics that we're living through now are pretty crazy. And it's a sign of a very, very sick society, a very sick media that gloats over the downfall of another man. It's very, very sick to sit here and watch this going on and see the blindness of the right, of the conservatives, who are gloating over the fall of Keylor or of Lauer, gloating, literally gloating over it, without realizing that they are in the sights of the same machine. And who will be there for them when they come for them? What you going to do when they come for you? That's what I want to know. That's what I'm saying here. They don't see beyond their nose. They don't see beyond their nose. They're sitting gloat. Oh, he got what he deserved. He's a liberal. He's a this. He's a that. Well, it's only a matter of time until the chips start flying on the other side of the table. What do you think? It's going to end tomorrow now with Garrison Keillor? It is not going to end there. It's all going to go right up to the presidency, as sure as I'm sitting here, as I said to you. Then what are you going to do then? Sit and say that it's not true? Well, why don't you say it's not true about Matt Lauer or about Garrison Keillor? Why not? Because politically you're the opposite, but it makes you a hypocrite. Do you understand that? I am not going to join the chorus of those on the conservative side of the spectrum who are celebrating the downfall of the big media figures on the left, because it is only a matter of time until the wheel of fortune turns and they're up on it. It's that simple. So I said to myself, okay, let me turn to God, Faith, and Reason and see if there's anything in here about what happens to a man who loses everything. Well, why are these things happening? Who is behind it? How is the society going to survive from this? So Jeremiah on page 163, I quote Jeremiah, which says, I will build me a wide house and spacious chambers, and cutteth him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar and painted with vermilion. Shalt thou reign because thou strivest to excel in cedar? Did not thy father eat and drink and do justice and righteousness? Then it was well with him. So the key words here are justice and righteousness, aren't they? Aren't they the words that we're talking about today? Is it just for these people to be brought down? Well, if they did what they say they did, like giving out sex toys and saying, here's what I'd like to do with them, yes, it's a just act to see them fall. But are all of these cases just, or some of them not just? Or is this just a witch hunt? Well, we'll have to find out in time. All I know is that we're living through a witch hunt. In other words, even if what he did is true, where is the trial? He seems to be hung in the public theater. That means that there's no longer an analysis of whether the charges are true or false. And moreover, there used to be a statement in law, if I'm wrong, tell me where I'm wrong, that you get a chance to face your accuser. One of the marks of a fascist country, incidentally, was you could not face your accuser. People could bring false charges against any charges against you, and you would never have a chance to face your accuser and refute your accuser. That's the mark of a dictatorship. That's the mark of a fascist dictatorship. We are living through that because of the viciousness of the legal system. And we must all understand the context in which this is happening. So, okay, call me old-fashioned. Call me like the Hollow Village or whatever. You know, I'm the Hollow Village, right? The deserted village. I'm the deserted village. I'm a guy who sounds like he's from the deserted village, right? You're wrong. I'm not from the deserted village. I'm from now. I'm from Nowland. And in Nowland, I think that a person is innocent until proven guilty. And I don't care which side of the political spectrum they are on. And I will keep saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it and saying it until the population awakens from the psychosis of J'accuse. But be very careful. You're going to listen to people celebrating the downfall of Lauer for the next few days. It's fun to read all the charges and get a kick out of it. How stupid this man could have been if he actually did that. God only knows. It just shows you how dumb the advertising agencies are. How stupid they are and how fickle. Okay, so he joined all of them. Glenn Thrush, Charlie Rose, Mark Halpern, David Korn. Half of these people you never heard of. The big names you heard of. You heard of Harvey Weinstein. You heard of Bill, whatever his name is, Bill O'Reilly. You heard of Weinstein. Now, all of a sudden, Matt Lauer, now Garrison Keillor. Where does this, round and round it goes? The Wheel of Fortune, where it stops, nobody knows. Why conservatives should not gloat over the fall of leftist media icons. It's a very good essay. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen, though, when the wheel stops on a conservative? How are you going to defend them? You're going to say he deserves a trial. You don't believe it. It's a setup. It's the liberal media. Well, you could try all you want. It's not going to work. Let me take some callers on this. Chris on WSBA Radio, line 4. Go ahead. What's your opinion?
Well, I'd say it's a slippery slope. I agree. But there is a Republican, Alex Jones, been reporting on it. It's a congressman out of Texas that there's video evidence of him doing something just dirty and disgusting. So it already is out there, Michael. But the thing I look at is, remember back in the 70s when all that stuff came out on the Catholic Church had been covering it up, the truth will set you free. That's what I believe.
Okay, let's talk about the Catholic Church. That's become a stock joke now about priests and boys, right?
Well, I mean,
but what percent of the priesthood were molesters? What percent do you think it really was?
Well, I know it's fairly high. There was even a priest that was in when I grew up in the 70s in Kingsport.
Well, it's actually fairly low. It's about 1.5% to 2% of the priesthood are let's say molesters or inappropriately touching boys. It's not what you would think it is. The media turned it into a figure that's much bigger in order to bring down the Catholic Church because they hate Catholics and they hate religion to begin with. So I disagree with you on that. It's a very small percentage of priests who molest boys, and I think it's sickening that they got so far in attacking the Catholic Church like that. And I don't expect anything in return. The Catholic Church is not my friend. They've never done anything for me. But I hear you. You're saying that such charges are rightfully so, just as they were in the church. Okay. Melissa, WTMA in South Carolina, what's your opinion? Go ahead, please.
Hi, Dr. Savage. Well, my opinion is I think that in our society nowadays, everyone kind of needs the soup du jour to be the victim. And right now I think the women are the victims, and women are kind of being portrayed. And I'm not talking about the egregious accounts, but I heard an account today of someone who accidentally placed his hand on a woman's bum, and the man apologized, and they were friendly after that. I'm not sure who it was. And he thought everything was fine until he heard from her lawyer. And I think...
No, wait. Why would he put his hand on her behind? Did he actually do it?
From what I heard, it was an accidental brush of the hand on the bum, and he was more...
You're not actually talking about George... You're not talking about George Bush in the wheelchair, are you?
I'm not sure. I just heard the story. And,
I was shocked at that one. There was Bush, 92 years old with Parkinson's, moving his hand almost in a cyclopsian way, brushing a woman. They called him a molester.
And these are the circumstances that I'm looking at as far as, you know, the left in particular needs someone to always be a victim. And right now it looks like it's women. And it's portraying women as these gentle...
Melissa, when do you think the powerful women of Hollywood and business will be finally called on the carpet for the girls they have seduced and abandoned?
And like I said, I'm not.
What am I? Am I blind to the fact that there are women who are attracted to women? Am I blind to the fact that women who like women are as aggressive as men who like men or men who like women? Am I blind to the fact that the human condition is not limited to that this behavior is not limited to the men? And so I'm asking, why have no women be found out yet? Where are the lawsuits against women who are doing this and have done this to young women in the workplace? That's what I want to know. As misconduct scandals rise, the bell tolls for thee. It is now up on Newsmax. They changed the headline slightly. It's pretty good. They changed it nicely. And they did it. Now they're talking about my monologue of today. And actually someone agrees with me. One of the bots and the trolls has not yet hit the site with a hate job. The others in the media who are jealous of me haven't yet gone on to put a hate point up. You know, this is a horrible time. I'll give you an example. Cyberbullying. I write articles. If you give people a chance to say things, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or an article, you have such jealous, hateful, envious people out there. They will say the most disgusting things on an article you write. You spend time and thought. They're stupid. They sit at home and write these things. A lot of this has got to do with that, bringing down powerful people because people are envious. I didn't say that Lauer didn't do it. Maybe I'll change it to Matt Sauer. That almost works. We could change to Matt Sauer from Matt Lauer. He went to see his son to tell him in person. How is this going to end? How is this going to end? I want to know how the society changes from this. Let me explain something to you. A boy is usually very shy when it comes to girls. Let me bring you back to reality. I want to tell you how it really is. Most men are very shy to talk to a girl, whether it be in junior high or high school. I'm just talking real to you. Boys are very shy. They have to be encouraged to go up to a girl and tell her they think she's pretty and to ask her out on a date. Do you know that? You know, if you're a parent out there, do you know what I'm talking about or not? What I'm talking to myself? You ever raise a child or another expert out there that never raised a child? Boys are very shy. They're very timid when it comes to girls. This has always been true. So a parent has to say to a child, a boy in particular, don't be shy. Go up to her. A girl, I like Nancy. Go up to Nancy and tell her she's not. You like her. She thinks she's nice. You think she's nice, and you want to go out on a date with her. A boy has to be told to do that. Now, what parent is not going to second guess telling the boy not to even go up to a girl now? What's going to happen to this country if this keeps up? This madness, this frenzy, this cyclone, this scythe that's cutting across the society now. Where is it going to end? When the dust settles, tell me where it's going to end. How does this end up? What kind of society will it look like? WBOB, Jacksonville, line 2. Rick, go ahead, please.
I think it doesn't end, right? It just keeps on going. The comment that I have was about Matt Sauer and the fact that he may have faced his accuser in the office, said he was sorry, had an agreement to sign that said he's leaving, and that's the end of it.
Oh, you mean, in other words, if he signed that, then he gets a payout, or he gets a salary or whatever, and they get a payoff, and that's the end of it?
Exactly. And she promises not to say anything else or not to follow up with any kind of lawsuit, and boom, it's done. And he goes.
Well, it came pretty quickly. I mean, they said that she brought the charges Monday night, and by Wednesday morning, last night? By last night, he was gone. They said within 35 hours, he was gone.
You think they didn't both have a team of lawyers in there talking it out?
Let me ask you something. When we read about, let us say, a Muslim or another immigrant in America who conducts a workplace crime, like murdering somebody, how come they're not found out in 35 hours? How come it takes 5 years of listening to their garbage? You know that the Muslim who drove people over in New York just a few weeks ago is still not tried for his crime? They're giving him every benefit of the doubt. Do you know that?
despicable that goes.
Think about what I just said. Murderers have more justice under the law than do these people who've been accused. A murderer has more of a chance to defend himself in this sick society of ours. And that's why I say be very cautious. Be very cautious who you celebrate, whose fall you celebrate. Be very cautious. So I'm going to send you God, Faith, and Reason, because right now, I'll tell you the truth, more people are probably turning to God than ever. I can't imagine where they're turning. Isaiah writes, your land, strangers devour it in your presence. Wow. Where'd I find that one from? On page 145 of God, Faith, and Reason. I picked the gem there, Isaiah. Your land, strangers devour it in your presence. Strangers devour it in your presence. Strangers devour it in your presence. Where is the righteousness and the justice in our society today? There seems to be a madness in the land, a madness in the air, a witch hunt and a madness in the air. Whether it is true or it is false, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Everyone has the right to face their accuser. That is a building block of our law. In Nazi Germany, if a person accused you of committing a crime against Nazism or the Nazi party, you did not have the right to face your accuser. Do you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know in the Soviet Union, when they wanted to bring someone down, all they needed to do was have someone accuse them, and the accused never had a chance to face their accuser and defend themselves? Did you know that? Well, now the witches have conducted witch hunts in this country to such an extent that we take that as the law itself. All these silent women have no obligation to face the accused. Oh, no, because the feminists have said they would be ruined if they were exposed. But what about the man who's being ruined for being exposed? Tell me, how does that work? Tell me why the accuser should not have to face the accused publicly. Tell me why. I want an answer to that question, if you don't mind. And I will remind you again, yes, you're celebrating Matt Lauer's downfall because you're not a liberal. But as I say, as the misconduct scandals rise, the bell tolls for thee. Back in a minute. All right, another head rolls. Another head rolled. Before the end of the show, another head just rolled. Are you ready for this? Another head just rolled. Jake Woodtapper's producer, not Jake Tapper, I'm not going to confuse you. Jake Woodtapper on CNN had a producer fired over claims of inappropriate behavior. CNN announced just now that it fired a senior producer of its Sunday talk show, State of the Union, over allegations of inappropriate behavior. Washington Post media reporter Paul Farry tweeted that 3 women had complained about Teddy Davis, but did not provide specifics of the complaints. I don't like any man with the name Teddy. I'm sorry. My dog is Teddy. It's like Bernie. I never trusted any guys named Bernie. Bernard, yes. Once they start with the IE, watch out. They're looking to fleece you or take something from you, one way or the other. Any man with an IE on the end of his name or a Y. Teddy, Bernie. I don't have good experience with people with bow ties or IEs or Ys at the end of their names. I don't know who this guy is. The behavior attributed to Mr. Davis does not align with the standards and values of CNN. And Mr. Davis is no longer with the Oh, God. State of the Union host Jake Woodtapper tweeted praise for CNN executives who he said acted swiftly and appropriately as they should. Oh, Jake, you're such a butt kisser. As they should. Workplaces need to be safe, and I'm fully supportive of CNN's act. Of course you would be, Jake. Of course you'd stick a knife in a producer's back. Instead of having any sympathy whatsoever. You're a heartless soul. Making fellow colleagues uncomfortable, was not accused of physical or sexual assault. How do you make someone uncomfortable? What if you have bad breath? Is that now making your colleague uncomfortable? What if you come in with like dandruff on your collar? And someone, or like, let's say you don't use dental floss. I used to hate someone at work years ago, who wouldn't floss his teeth. I could almost throw up. When you see the gunk in between the teeth, I would almost throw up. I was made uncomfortable. Maybe he should have been fired. I wasn't physically or sexually assaulted, but he didn't use dental floss. That's the world we're living in. This is in the last minutes of the show today. Another one now. Remember my monologue, for whom the bell tolls, because the bell tolls for thee.